I'm so pissed right now. I am fucking shaking. The time has come, y'all. The time has come where I am cutting off my MAGA parents because I can't do this anymore. After years of trying to avoid the politics conversation with them because I know they are MAGA. And that was the only way we could have a relationship, is if we did not talk about it. Well, I'm done. I'm done. Even if my mom is ill, I'm done.
Okay, MAGA men are about to lose their wives in record numbers. And I'm going to tell you why.
You know what's so infuriating about the MAGA movement and just pure evil is that they pretend to represent God and Jesus, but the entire movement is built on a lie.
A daughter finally done trying. A father still texting like nothing happened. Across the country, adult children are cutting off their MAGA parents. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening while the cost of living keeps climbing, while government programs get cut, and while new headlines keep landing that families can't agree on. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. For a lot of families, the split didn't start with an argument about Trump himself. It started with a paycheck that stopped going as far as it used to, even inside households that voted for him.
I said, Trump's a fucking liar. Inflation's going up. Gas prices hasn't really come down that much. Eggs? That's the funny one. The eggs. I'm mad. And I'm a MAGA man. Okay? I don't see anything he's done.
So is it safe to say that the illusion has faded?
I think it has, yes. You know, I was for him because, you know, everything he said, you know, he played right into my hands. He just told us everything we wanted to hear. That's what he did. I can't even stand to look at him because, you know, he's just he's a con. He's a flat ass, nothing but a fucking con. You know, they all the right side, they say, oh yeah, the Biden side was so bad. Well, what's so good about the right side? He brags about doing something with our economy, but I haven't seen anything happen yet. That big beautiful bill is going to add, they say $2.5 trillion. It's going to add about $4 trillion to the debt. The big beautiful bill. Oh, what a joke. Remember what happened in the 80s with trickle down economics? Yeah. The filthy rich got richer, and us guys that worked for a living paid more taxes. I'm disappointed for sure. I'm real disappointed.
Not proud of it. Man enough to say it. I was one of those guys back in 2020, 2024, shit, even 2016 before I could vote. I was all for Trump. I was all for MAGA. I believed he was going to make America great again. I believed he was going to drain the swamp. I thought he was going to be different. He wasn't a career politician. And boy, was I wrong. My views didn't change. They still remain the same. I did fall for the deception, though, because I can't in good conscience support someone who's responsible for a pointless war where thousands of innocent lives are dying every single day. I can't support someone who mocked Christ on Easter. I sure as hell can't support someone who calls the people who want transparency on one of the most heinous and insidious acts in human history, the Epstein files, calls them liars and lunatics. He's probably a part of it himself. Can't support that. When it comes to politics, it's hard to even align myself with one of the parties because they're both being controlled by the same puppeteers at the top. So I was wrong. Not proud of it. Man enough to say it.
A post is going viral after a MAGA mom who's on SNAP benefits called out her family for not lending her money for groceries. In this Facebook post, this mom said that her husband is on the GI Bill and she has 2 kids. She continues by saying she's at her wit's end and she's overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do. She said that she asked her husband's mom, and the mom responded with, "You voted for this."
A man admitting he's disappointed in the very president he voted for. A mother on food stamps, turned away by her own family with 4 words, "You voted for this." The economic strain isn't sparing anyone, including the households that expected it to help them the most. And on top of the economy, there's the news cycle itself. Every new headline becomes another test of whether a family can even stay in the same room together.
Do you remember a few months ago, I was really struggling with how to deal with MAGA people. They are just So stupid and so hypocritical. And I didn't know how to approach them. A friend after that DM'd me and said something that has only become more true in the months since. He goes, you can't engage MAGA. You cannot engage them because they're not being intellectually honest. What does he mean by that? They're not being honest about the reasons they voted for Trump or the reasons they support MAGA. I don't even know if they know the real reasons. If they do, they're not being honest about it publicly, right? Because, they say, we care about protecting our families and protecting our kids, and yet Epstein files, they forgot about that real quick, right? Conveniently. They care about, states' rights and getting the federal government out of our lives, and yet when Trump wants to send in troops who are not wanted in Chicago, suddenly they're on that side. A lot of them say, I'm a fiscal conservative. That's why I vote Republican. Trump's big bullshit bill raised the deficit more than any president in history, beating his own record the last time he was president.
One of the reasons I fight so strongly against MAGA is because of their normalization of sexual violence. I grew up in a family that was very conservative, and one of my male relatives sexually abused another male relative in my family for years, which led to a lot of anger, frustration, and trauma that not only stuck with the person who was victimized, but also everyone else. Because, of course, this act was swept under the rug, this family member had to see this person, his abuser, at every single holiday for years. And that type of trauma really does affect the way that you see the world, and it makes you distrustful of people.
I woke up this morning to go visit my husband at the detention center he's being held at, and 30 minutes past the time I was supposed to visit him, I get called up to the front, and they basically told me that he was gone. And I go, what do you mean he's gone? Where is my husband? Oh, I don't know. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know? Like, where are you taking my husband? And they told me I had to wait. They told me I had to wait for the ICE window to open up. And then someone who was waiting for another person said, go and ask to see if maybe he's in medical. I asked if he was in medical. They said no, he was taken with 7 other people this morning. And so I had to wait till 8 o'clock. Finally at 8, I walked up to the window and spoke to someone, and they asked for my marriage certificate, his A number, and also my ID. And I'm like, I'm his wife, what the fuck? And so then an ICE agent comes up and basically tells me that he's being deported and he's going to be outside of the U.S. either today or tomorrow. And I'm like, where is he being taken? Where is he being deported to? Oh, sorry, I can't tell you. What the fuck do you mean by that? I'm his wife. I need to know where my husband's being taken. After she told me she couldn't tell me where he was being taken, I was like, he's literally my husband. Like, I need to know. And also, he's a political refugee. He's waiting for his credible fear interview. This is illegal. And they still wouldn't tell me anything.
Every time I ask MAGA, why do you support Donald Trump? The answer I get is usually, I'm just worried about me. I had money when Donald Trump was in office. I got those $1,200 stimulus checks. I got them PPPL loan. What? I don't want to be woke. I was able to shop. I was able to go shopping and buy stuff and then go shopping. My company gave me a raise when Donald Trump was in office. I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to say, you damn DEI bad. Basically very selfish reasons. Me. I felt better. I had money. I had this. I had that. What it made me realize is you only care about yourself. But when I talk to people who are voting for Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, it's more so about the betterment of America as a whole. It's more so about protecting our democracy, our safety, protecting our freedom, rights for everyone. Very much more selfless reasons. Because when we vote, we know that we are not just voting for ourselves, but for the voiceless voices, of the past, our ancestors.
Yesterday I was talking to my parents about how Trump blocked all the federal aid, and they're Trump supporters. I'm not. But the point is, I'm talking to them about it, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of messed up no matter how you look at it, from which political side. It's affecting a lot of people, and I think it sucks that, billionaires get to live a great life while the people making, less than 70 or 50K a year are going to now struggle even more because these programs are getting cut. People who use food stamps, my family, I've had to use a lot of that government aid. I'm not ashamed to say that, though, because we all need help sometimes. Growing up, my parents didn't always make the most money, so we had to use some of that government stuff, which is why I don't understand why they're so okay with it just getting cut. And then they had the nerve, when I said all that, to call me entitled.
A wife with no answers about where her own husband was taken. A son called entitled for pointing out that cuts to aid programs hit real people. These aren't abstract policy debates anymore. They're showing up directly inside people's living rooms. But it's not one-directional. Some parents are genuinely blindsided by how far this has gone, and some have started questioning their own support in ways they never expected to say out loud.
who decided to stop speaking to this side of the family since the election. Words can't describe how hurt I am that you've decided to do this. You've known that I've supported Donald Trump since 2016. It has never come between us before. I have never judged you on the choices that you've made, the people that you supported, or who you voted for. I've always been open to listening to anything and everything you've believed in and you've wanted to share with me, whether I agree with it or not. You know my heart.
I was wrong about Trump. I admit it. I was the guy that was watching the rallies. I was the guy that was defending him, standing up for him, agreeing with him, voting for him, encouraging others to vote for him. But because I listened to him so much, I know what exactly he said, what he said he was going to do. And as I watch things unfold right now, he's lied about everything. Literally. It's clear. He just told us that he eliminated Iran's military completely, and then now he's exchanging missiles with them. Everything from that to the financial situations, all this extra money he said that he got, that he was going to give American people, it was all a lie. And I don't support him no more on any level, and I regret any video I made supporting him. I regret anything I said to defend him on his behalf. The liberals were right. I'm going to go ahead and put it like that.
One mother's still confused about why her daughter walked away. One former supporter publicly admitting he got it wrong. The reactions inside these families are not the same from person to person, even within the same political side. Whatever side of this someone lands on, the personal cost is real. It's showing up in birthdays that go unanswered, and phones full of messages nobody wants to open anymore.
This right here, how are grandparents choosing Trump over their own grandchildren? And this plays into all the parents and grandparents that are like, my kids are no contact and I have no idea why. And the loneliness epidemic in men. And I haven't talked to my parents for some time, but my son was trying to do what he thought was the right thing and called my father on his birthday in September. And my father was giving this real poor me, oh, nobody loves me, everybody hates me. And then later went on to say that he thought it would make him happy to go to the southern border and take care of the problem himself. He used very graphic language in that. And my son just said, this is why nobody talks to you, and hung up on him. And yes, they are going to be lonely. We all have our chosen families that we're building. We're not going to be the lonely ones.
A grandfather, alone on his own birthday. A daughter, crying over her mother's phone instead of having an actual conversation. This is the part that doesn't make it into the political headlines. The quiet, ongoing cost inside individual families, long after the news cycle moves on. So who's actually responsible for all of this? That question alone has split people right down the middle.
There's an increase in the number of people cutting off their parents, but there's one thing I've noticed about this trend. Has anybody else noticed that when an adult child chooses not to have a relationship with a parent, it's always, but it's your mom and dad. You only get one mom and dad. Why are you doing that? And it's never, wow, what could a parent have done to cause their child to make this decision but feel like it was the right one? It's never, what happened that made a grown adult feel like the need to walk away from the people who raised them? And it's definitely never, but they're your children. How can you treat them that way? Why is the weight placed on the child? Why is the burden of maintaining peace, preserving connection, and forgiving endlessly dumped onto the very person who's probably carrying the scars? No one ever stops to think, maybe that parent wasn't a safe person. Maybe the parent was emotionally manipulative, abusive, dismissive, narcissistic, or just constantly absent when it mattered most. Maybe parent was just a title and not something they lived up to. And yet the child is the one questioned. The child is the one who's guilted, shamed, or gaslit. There's this automatic defense of the parent as if the role of parent comes with some lifetime immunity from accountability. But here's the truth. People don't cut off their parents typically for no reason. It's not impulsive. It's not heartless. It's usually the last result after years of trying, years of hoping things would change, years of therapy, tears, inner conflict. It's often deep, painful act of self-preservation. And yet society keeps asking the wrong question. Instead of why did you walk away, maybe it's time to start asking what happened that made staying
A man disappointed in the
impossible.
president he voted for. A mother turned away by her own family over 4 words. A daughter still trying to understand how the person who raised her voted against the exact program she depends on. This is what's actually happening across America right now. Underneath the politics, real families, pulled apart by the cost of living, by policy decisions, and by headlines nobody can agree on. And for most of these parents, this genuinely wasn't the outcome they expected. They didn't think their politics would ever cost them their own children. Drop a comment below. Has politics changed a relationship in your own family? And do you think it can ever be repaired?